Hello, what nuts, Humpty Dump Nuts, and yeah, you guessed it, Lindy Ruff Nuts. It is Tuesday, April 23rd, U.S., and this is What Chaos. My name is David DJ Bean. That is Pete Blackburn, and over there is Sean DePaz. And yeah, you're saluting, but it seems, Sean, your flag is at half-mast today. We got other shit to talk about, obviously, all the playoff games, everything that's coming up. The fucking Oilmen look like the best team in goddamn hockey. But it would be crazy if we spent a second doing anything before discussing Lindy Ruff to your Buffalo Sabres. We've been beating the drum on this show, led by Sean, saying, give it to me. I need him. I want him. Sean, you got him.
Unfortunately.
Sean's mic's not working.
Sean is not happy about
Sean's
it.
not on board.
I'm not happy at all.
There was a lot of interest in like how you were doing yesterday after the news was announced. Our Discord, we finally fired up a Discord. I don't know if it was on our Discord or the PDO Cast Discord, but somebody asked, how's Sean doing with the news? And I said, he texted, oh my God, and hasn't texted since. And this was like 2 hours after the news. So I was like, I assume that he's doing just fine.
So people just go on Discord? That's my main takeaway from that.
Yeah, like Discords are active, brother.
So you do that instead of Twitter now, basically. Is that like replace Twitter for people?
It's like you know how like Twitter has like the community feature that nobody uses.
Yeah, it's much more community focused. It's like a conversation, as opposed to just tweeting into the void and then.
So it's like Grok.
It's like a hybrid.
You said Grok?
It's like Grok.
Twitter's AI.
It's a hybrid between a group chat and Twitter. I would say.
Well, since Lindy Ruff was fired from the Devils, we've been talking about the possibility of Lindy to the Sabres on the show. Every time it's come up, Sean's been a little sad. Here's a little clip.
I'm a Coyotes fan. Them moving, pretty bad. The Sabres hiring Lindy Ruff again would be the worst thing any of my franchises have ever done to me as a fan, outside of selling the team. And
help us on the way. Lindy's come. He's on the way. Don't you worry.
Lindy going back to Buffalo would be so miserable.
I would definitely, like, I want to make it very clear right now, I am so anti that idea. If it happened, I would so quickly brainwash myself into being pro Lindy Ruff. But as of right now, I don't want it.
All right, so here's where I feel cheated. You're being a little bitch, Sean, and you're not sticking to your word.
I'm not yet, at least.
Sean, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
What is the Sabres' objective? What is the Buffalo Sabres' objective? Wrong.
It should be.
Didn't answer in time. Pete, what is the Buffalo Sabres' objective?
Make the playoffs.
Close. Sean, what is the Buffalo Sabres' objective?
It should be to win a Stanley Cup. I think it's just to end the drought.
It is for sure not to win the Stanley Cup.
It's not to win the Stanley Cup.
Let's live in reality here.
Yeah, come on.
I said it should be. I didn't say it was.
Baby steps, pal.
2 more guesses. Pete, what is the Buffalo Sabres' objective?
Accountability.
Pete's been giving some very good answers. Sean, I know you're sad, but
straight up vibes. Just bring back the vibes.
The Buffalo Sabres' objective is to cut the shit. And they needed to bring in some sort of veteran coach, someone who'd been around before. Like, David Carl wasn't happening for me. I didn't want them to go get Jay Woodcroft because he wasn't experienced enough with actual success. So what do you want? Do you want like Todd McClellan? Lindy Ruff is 1,000 years old. He's 64. Yes, he's been there before, and it was a while since he went to the Cup final with them. He's not a perfect coach, but what did the New England Patriots do in the 90s when they were floundering, had a bunch of high draft picks, young guys, weren't really figuring out? Who'd they hire? Did they hire Bill Belichick? No, they hired
Bill Parcells.
Bill Parcells, and he got them to
Pete Carroll.
Cut the shit. He got them to cut. Very good. He got them to cut the shit. So for where the Sabres need to go right now, they just need to cut the shit. And that is my sales pitch to you. I will give you the fucking floor. And I know that you're not going to do anything with it because you don't want to talk and you don't want to do anything. And you just want to go fucking back to bed.
Before Sean gets a chance. So here's my rebuttal as to why I think this is not cutting the shit for the Buffalo Sabres. Because what happens anytime a spot opens up with the Buffalo Sabres in a leadership role, whether it's coaching, whether it's a GM, they always go into their own fucking Rolodex and find like the first name that's at the top of the Rolodex. Lindy Ruff has already coached there. Yes. And he's an icon in Buffalo. Sure. But we have enough evidence of recently to say, I don't know if Lindy Ruff has it to coach in the NHL anymore. And guess who has coached under Lindy Ruff? Kevin Adams, current GM of the Buffalo Sabres, who you can argue in his own right was we're just going to hire this guy because he's already in the building. Kevin Adams was the VP of Business Administration for 1 year before being given the Buffalo Sabres general manager job. And now Kevin Adams is hiring his guy who is Lindy Ruff from like 10 years ago.
Okay. Take Lindy Ruff's experience and familiarity with the Sabres out of this. And Sean, you're just proving you're like, I'm not fucking doing this. I'm not having. Sean you're despondent.
Yeah, I mean, because every reason you want to give me doesn't mean anything because they can cut the shit all they want. That doesn't matter. They need to win hockey games. I was talking about this with one of my friends yesterday. It's like the Buffalo Bills. The drought, we want to end the drought. Eventually, that's not going to be worth shit. I don't care that the Sabres missed the playoff or the Bills missed the playoffs for 18 straight years. I don't care because now they're a good team and they don't win in the playoffs when it matters. That's been Lindy Ruff's MO his entire career. The closest he's gotten was the Cup against the Stars. Since then, he has gotten close, but can't do it. And now he's with probably the worst roster he's had in his coaching career.
Wrong.
No, yeah, no way.
The Stars
this roster is good.
This is a good roster.
Massive
and
holes.
The Devils, when he took over, were fucking dickhead city.
Yeah.
It was a goaltender, and that was it. And the goaltender didn't even end up being good.
But where did they get? You talk about cutting the shit, but it doesn't. They didn't.
They got to the playoffs.
Cool.
Yeah, I know. I get what you're saying, and I'm not excited about the Lindy Ruff hire, but I do think that there is an element of he does bring an element of something that you need, and he probably will get them, if not to the playoffs, pretty close. And I know that doesn't mean anything.
They were pretty close already.
I agree, but they were standing in their own way. I don't know if the Sabres are going to stand in their own way if it's not Lindy Ruff. You know what I'm saying? I think that Lindy Ruff he's probably going to get that team to the playoffs eventually. It's going to be extremely frustrating in the road to getting there, but he'll probably get them there.
This season, next season. And I've been saying since before this season that they're going to make it next season. I feel better about them making it next season even more now.
Yeah,
well, they got two goalies.
I will say that is one thing I will say is that they needed this is a team that should have been in the playoffs. And they just needed a different voice. So, any actual experienced hockey coach, I think, is going to make them a marginally better team than they were this year. But as I've said multiple times, I think there were better options available.
I agree.
Namely, Craig Berube, who checks off all of the boxes that you want and hasn't already done this shit. That's the thing. He started the drought. Lindy Ruff started the drought. Kevin Adams was an assistant coach for the Buffalo Sabres for a year and a half. Why? Because he got fired after the end of that second year because the Sabres sucked. He was on that. Kevin Adams started the drought too. And now we're doubling back 15 years later with 10 years later with the exact same people. That makes no fucking sense to me.
5 things. 1, I would have preferred Craig Berube. 2, I don't know if Craig Berube would have preferred the Buffalo Sabres. So this could be he doesn't want them. He's waiting to see who ends up getting fired, where they pounce on Lindy Ruff because Lindy was going to get another job, right? We were all talking about, he's going to go somewhere because there's only 8 guys who coach in the NHL and they're all white. And that's just the way it is. It sucks, but whatever. If you're the Buffalo Sabres, you need old guy, someone who will yell, someone who they won't want to disappoint, not for fear of he's going to yell at us or get mad at us, but just you don't want to be around an upset old guy. It's just not good for vibes. So it's going to force them to correct their own vibes. This, I think, was possibly their best option, assuming Berube couldn't do it, because I don't want Carl. I don't want Woodcroft. I don't want fucking Todd McClellan. And honestly, if it wasn't Lindy, it would have fucking been McClellan more than it before. It would have been somebody. You would have taken.
I would have taken almost any other person that had been brought up in this coaching search other than Lindy Ruff. We've done this already. The same thing happens everywhere he goes. He gets a team to overperform slightly, and the Sabres are past that point already. They're past the point of getting a mediocre roster to overperform. They are at a point now where they need someone who can win, and Lindy Ruff has never won in his entire career. He has not done it.
You can't say out of one side of your mouth that Lindy Ruff has never won and then also be like, the fucking Sabres got robbed in what, 98, 99, whatever it was?
Yeah, I mean, they did, but that doesn't change the fact that they ultimately didn't win. Like, he hasn't won a cup.
Boy, oh boy, I mean, I think that now your Bills fandom is skewing your expectations, because I think that you understand with the Bills, getting to the playoffs ain't what we want. We're playing for trophies here for a long time. You just want to fucking get to the playoffs. I'm not saying I'm doing the royal you for Bills fans. I think that you're maybe conflating the Bills and the Sabres experience, because really, I do think the goal for the Sabres has to be cut the shit, show a little progress here.
I think that we're ignoring a really big part of this too, is that it fucking matters who Lindy puts on his staff. As we've seen what happened in New Jersey when he had Andrew Brunette versus when he didn't have Andrew Brunette. If Lindy has a good staff around him, that could make the Lindy Ruff experience way more palatable.
Yeah, I just don't have much faith that that's going to happen, because as we've discussed, like, this is now...
He's only allowed to hire former Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah.
So
Rob Ray, you are the assistant coach of the Buffalo Sabres.
Cody Hodgson, you are the assistant coach of the Buffalo Sabres. Hey, let's bring in a guest to help us flesh this out. The great Dimitri Filipovic of the PDO cast joins us now. Dimitri, thank you for joining us, sir.
Fellas, what's going on?
How are you, buddy?
I'm good. It's good to be here.
How do you make sense of...
Pete's been big timing me. I've been trying to get on the show all season, and he keeps saying, all right, I'll get you on, I'll get you on. So I'm glad you guys finally pulled the trigger.
Have you really?
No,
yeah.
He's being a bit of a jerk.
Oh,
I've been trying all season. I've been messaging Pete. I'm like,
that.
Pete, come on my show. I'll come on yours. And he's like, no, it's fine.
We've wanted to do this for a while, but you have a busy fucking schedule and you do your show every day too. So it's been a little bit more difficult. What are your thoughts on Lindy Ruff to the Buffalo Sabres?
Yeah, I see both sides of it. I'm okay with it ultimately. I think you made a great point. I was listening, sitting in the green room while you guys were talking there, and it's who he brings on his staff, right? Because I think the Sabres team, like, part of why they struggled so much this year was their power play took such a step back. And I think part of that is Tage being hurt and not being able to rip one-timers, as I wear my Tage Thompson tee here. So I got to stay on brand. But I think if he brings in someone who can help kind of flesh that out and improve the power play, I could see that team taking a big step, and it might not necessarily be competing for a Stanley Cup, but it's kind of baby steps for that organization, right? They just need to make the playoffs first. So I think they can do that next season.
Do you think that some of the adult, and we'll maybe even say super duper senior adult, he's younger than I thought he would be. If you said how old is Lindy Ruff, I'd be like
80,
82.
Yeah,
easy. He's 64. So
what?
He just looks shitty for his age, I guess.
He's also been around forever.
I would have guessed like a
64?
low 70s.
But how much do you think it is having an experienced person both in hockey and in being alive? Like, that team needs a fucking old guy.
I think so. Yeah, you're right. I'm shocked that he's not at least 70. But I guess he has been around forever. And honestly, 64 for an NHL coach is a very young buck at this point. I think it'll help. Like, I think the vibes under Granato 2 years ago were obviously kind of the reason why they took a big step. This past year, they were banged up. Everything kind of came crashing back down to earth. I think certainly some stability and some veteran leadership can help. Like, I think they need to improve tactically, though. Like, it's one thing to just kind of play back and forth pond hockey. It's another to actually have a plan for when a team traps you in the neutral zone and forces you to dump it in. And that's something Granato and the Sabres had nothing of this past season. So hopefully Ruff and his staff are going to address that this season.
Do you think that with the Middlestat trade and bringing in Bo Byram, like, a new coach now has a better palette with which to work? Because I think that for a while it was like, all right, Sabres are just fucking loading up on these skilled guys and everything. And yeah, they got their 2 high picks back there on defense, whatever. They'll just fucking figure it out. But now you come into this team, yeah, they've got the stars up front. Although the chat has been hammering us with they could use a Jack Eichel type player. But you've got multiple really good young defensemen. You got multiple goalies. I won't say there's no excuse to not make the playoffs because it's the Sabres and they do have that stank about them. But I think a coach comes into this and is like, yeah, I can fucking work with this.
There's no excuse, guys. The Islanders and the Capitals made the playoffs this year. Like the fact that them and the Devils finished below these teams in the standings is such like a bag fumbling, in my opinion. And the Sabres really, I mean, they had their own injuries similar to the Devils, but yeah, I think there's no excuse. Like next year, they not only have to make the playoffs, but actually like compete for winning a round and showing us that this is legit and not just kind of like a fun team.
We all seem to agree that we wanted Craig Berube there more than anybody else. And if you look at the current landscape, is there a place that Craig Berube maybe is prioritizing over Buffalo? Like I have one spot in my mind, and it's kind of directly linked to this. I think Craig Berube in New Jersey would be great.
Yeah, I imagine every coach in the market right now is kind of holding out, waiting to see whether they just bring back Travis Green full time or whether they hire someone else, because that's obviously such a desirable landing spot. So yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Who else is looking right now? Like I'm sure like
LA?
in a couple weeks when the season ends. Yeah, LA. Yeah, they could use someone for game 2.
That would be incredible. After that,
they just
like,
parachute Berube
okay.
in
Coaching
Rogers'
change
place or whatever.
Oilers also have fucking cut Darnell Nurse. Like just madness. Unrecognizable teams.
I mean, Columbus. I don't know if Pascal Vincent is going to be the guy there.
Not.
Okay, so here's my theory on that note. I think the Blue Jackets should hire Don Granato and hope to replicate the vibes that he brought to the Sabres 2 years ago. And if anything, I think Granato, because I'm skeptical that he's like a tactician enough to actually be an NHL coach for like competing for a Stanley Cup, but he's clearly great with young players and like building relationships and all that and welcoming them into the league. Every young organization should essentially just hire him. He should be like a rotating coach where like every year he just goes to a new spot, improves their vibes, and makes everyone have fun playing hockey again. And then you bring in an actual coach that is going to like work on the X's and O's.
There are coaches like, I mean, I was talking about it with the New England Patriots with Bill Parcells, where like, yes, he brought them to a Super Bowl, but there are certain coaches that you do want to have to either have them knock out the shit, have them move forward a little bit, knowing that they're not going to be the long-term guy. An analogy that we used early in the season with talking about Lindy Ruff is he's the guy that drives you to the airport. And once you arrive at the airport, you're not sure if anybody bought the tickets, but you've at least been driven to the airport. So at that point, maybe you have to go inside, go to a desk, ask somebody else for tickets. I do think that Lindy Ruff can be the person that furthers what the Sabres are trying to do. And if not furthers it, at least corrects a little bit, because they have kind of gone back off track.
I mean, and to your point for Granato, like, but isn't that the purpose of an assistant coach? Like, isn't the assistant coach kind of who fills in the gaps and kind of does things beyond just getting a team to win?
Probably. Yeah. I'd say
like
he might be best suited
a
to
great
be
assistant somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, I heard Lindy Ruff's looking for assistants.
That's a good point. Yeah. I mean, I think like, man, I would love to see David Carl in Columbus. That'd be amazing. But
yeah, I mean, it seems like he's going to be, and he deserves this, but he's going to be very picky about what job he takes. Like, I think he's going to be waiting for not only the bag, but also like the perfect spot to win. So
David Carl to me is more like if the Rangers needed a coach, that sort of thing, like a team that has more of a mix. Because I think that if you drop David Carl into Columbus, and I think he's going to be a good NHL coach, but I just think there are a lot of teams that can't afford to go with an inexperienced coach right now. And boy, oh boy, I mean, if there's a team...
Columbus tried to go the experience route, and how'd that turn out for them?
Well, they went with the guy that we all fucking knew, like not that fucking guy. But like, honestly, like I wouldn't have hated it if fucking Columbus brought in Lindy Ruff. Like they need somebody. You want to talk about a team that is somehow more aimless than the Buffalo Sabres? It's the Blue Jackets. In even their leadership, I like those guys, but they need leadership coming from somewhere, and they don't have it anywhere right now. So Carl, I would honestly hate for them. What do you make of the postseason so far?
It's been fun, man. It's been fun. Only a couple days in, obviously. I like the first 2 days where there was like no overlapping games, so I could just watch them all one at a time and fully immerse myself. Yesterday was a bit stressful, juggling like pretty much all 4 games at once at one point. But no, it's been fun. I think when you watch like the West compared to the East, it's almost like they're playing different sports. Like the East certainly has some interesting matchups, but it feels like the West is just like a heavyweight bout where they're just throwing haymakers at each other.
Who do you think is so far the most dominant. I think like the final score didn't do it justice, but that was a fucking shit kicking by the Oilers last night.
Yeah, I'm trying to track all these games just to have some of my own stats because I don't really trust the public ones. And I'm only done the first period of that Oilers Kings game, but I had the Oilers with 14 scoring chances in the first period. And like in some of these other games, that's been like a good offensive output for a full game for some of these teams. So I think the Oilers are probably going to get into 30 by the time I finish tracking it. And yeah, I mean, 7 goals like doesn't do justice to just how much they created and how much they tore the Kings up.
I know you're a big Mark Stone guy. What do you make of the third year in a row in which we've seen Mark Stone miraculously recover right before game 1?
Yeah, I mean, how long are you guys having me on for? Because I feel like we could probably do 45 minutes on just that alone. I don't necessarily want to get into it too much. I think there's like way more nuance than people are willing to admit. But I think like he looked pretty rusty yesterday. He looked like a guy who's probably not 100%, right? Like Logan Stankoven just sunned him at the end of the first period. And Stankoven's awesome, and he does that to a lot of people. But it's kind of unfamiliar territory seeing Stone get schooled like that at pretty much his own special trick.
Yeah, that was
scored
incredible.
on his first shift, baby.
That's
and he did
true.
look rusty. But I'll tell you what, we'll talk later more about the Stars and Knights, but a lot of people on the Knights did not look good last night, and they still end up winning that game. So if I'm the Stars, I'm saying, fuck, this is going to be a close series. This is one that we probably needed to win when he was rusty, when the goaltending was bad, all of that. But just in general, what do you make of that series? Because so far, the returns on the money they spent with Stone on LTIR looks very good.
Yeah, I mean, Hurdle looks awesome in front of the net in particular. He scored one of his own goals. I think he had a screen on the Stone goal itself. Yeah, it's a bit of a tough series for Dallas, not only because Vegas is one of the few teams that kind of theoretically has the depth to match them, but also at the risk of kind of nerding out too much here on X's and O's, Vegas boxes out or fronts so much in their zone and they try to block everything. And that's a problem for Dallas, who looks to like tip pucks with Pavelski and that top line in particular so much. And you saw that in game 1. And I think Ryan Callahan pointed out in the broadcast that it gave them problems and essentially that top line got completely neutralized. So I think that's something Dallas is going to have to work around, but it seems like it's certainly going to be like a really tricky matchup for them.
One of my favorite things in the playoffs is that every year there's somebody who kind of has like a coming out party, or at least a few people that have a coming out party and raise their profile. You seem to be able to identify those guys before a lot of other people jump on board. Who do you have this year as a strong candidate to kind of be in that category?
Is Seth Jarvis cheating? Like, has he already arrived in the mainstream? I know he's been on your show.
No, but you know what? So many fucking, I mean, that person we talked about it on our stream, that person in the past has been like Anze Kopitar or Patrice Bergeron or people that like we all knew, like that guy's fucking awesome and he's like one of the better players in the NHL. So I guess you can go anywhere with it.
Yeah, I like Jarvis. I think before the playoffs started, he was like plus 14,000 or something to win the Conn Smythe. And Carolina's so deep that like anyone could really win it for them. But I mean, he plays top line, top power play. He might lead them in scoring. You saw the nasty shot he scored on yesterday, and I think they're going to make the Stanley Cup final. So I like Jarvis there. I mean, Wyatt Johnston, obviously on the Stars, but he's already scored 30 goals himself. Let me give you kind of a random one. I'm not sure Nashville's going to go far enough to justify this because I think they're going to lose to Vancouver in round 1. But Luke Evangelista is someone that people I think need to familiarize themselves with. He's already working his way up the lineup, and you watch in game 1, like I thought he was their best, most dangerous player. So I think he's someone who I'm pretty fond of, and I think is going to catch a lot of people's eyes this postseason.
He's also very handsome,
and that helps.
Sure does.
Whether informed by numbers or just your big, beautiful brain, how do you feel about the goalie rotation? Because it has been a big conversation, obviously, with the Bruins. And over the years, typically, if you did that, it wasn't necessarily a recipe for success in the postseason. I like the Bruins are doing it, but what do you make of it?
I'm fine with it. I mean, it was kind of one of their big strengths heading in, right? Everyone talked about what big an advantage it was for them. They did it all year. So if you're using the regular season as kind of like a trial run to get ready for the postseason, they didn't really give Swayman any back-to-back starts to kind of prepare for this. And I thought game 2, coming off that win, was the right time to do it because now you can just go back to Swayman in game 3 and feel confident with that and move forward with that. Whereas if you went back to Swayman, it would have made it really awkward for going to Allmark eventually. So I thought it was the right move. Obviously didn't work out, but it wasn't because Allmark played poorly or anything. So I'm totally fine with it.
Do you think Bruins fans should be worried at this point in time? I know it's one loss, but William Nylander hasn't been in the series yet. and they looked real bad last night for the last 40 minutes of that game.
Yeah, I'd say particularly the third period, right, where they're
Yeah.
like the game was on the line and they just couldn't really generate anything. Austin Matthews was just so far and away the best player on the ice. And you're right, like so far they've been able to get away with the third pair because Toronto hasn't really had the depth, but all of a sudden if Willie Nylander is just feasting on that Shattenkirk pair, that becomes alarming. So I think it's probably going to go 7 again, and it'll be very dramatic and chaotic. But yeah, I think it could go either way. But I just like what Matthews did last night was pretty much everything I think everyone's been clamoring for and wanting to see from him. And so if he's just going to play that way, then I don't really think Boston has very many answers for that.
Lastly, I don't know if you're a betting or DFSing man. If you have placed a wager on Conn Smythe, who was it?
I don't bet on hockey, but I did, like I said, I think Seth Jarvis plus 14,000 or Wyatt Johnston was plus 11,000 at the start of the postseason. I like both of those.
All right,
Those strong
lovely
value bets.
Yeah. Did you bet on Conn Smythe?
I did not. No.
Am I the only Conn Smythe?
You're a big like Conn Smythe at the outset of the playoffs.
Yeah,
guy.
Well,
I'm gonna pick one guy at the outset of the playoffs.
Yeah, my guy was Pierre-Luc Dubois. So
Did you?
well, I didn't
God,
actually.
amazing.
I did throw a couple dollars on
Incredible.
a little bit of a flyer, being like, if the Kings somehow managed to make magic, it's probably because somebody got good at hockey.
Hey, fourth line center Pierre-Luc Dubois was the only center on the Kings last night, and is my least favorite stat, but if it helps me make a point, I'll use it. Was the only plus center on the Kings last night. That fourth line played very well, even though he took 2 penalties like an idiot.
Okay.
Gotta ask you, Dim, what are you rooting more for in this series? Nathan McKinnon to make it out or Saxophone Squirtle to make it out?
Oh, man. Saxophone Squirtle. Did you see that Jets fan that actually snuck a real-life saxophone into the game? I don't even know how they allowed that, but that's awesome. I have one quick question. I know you guys probably want to get me out of here, but when you placed that PLD Conn Smythe bet, did a gambling helpline immediately reach out to you?
Yeah, I got some phone calls. I had someone show up at my front door making sure I was okay. Wellness check.
I'll tell you what, so I only do one bet a year. Mine was Stu, and I was feeling great about it last night until fucking Darnell Nurse and
I
Cody
know.
Ceci started kicking goals in, breaking sticks. I'm like, dude, fucking save the. Don't do this in wins.
I mean,
Do it in losses.
That's how good the Oilers were last night. That they Darnell Nurse fell asleep at the wheel and it didn't hurt them.
They turned into a fucking circus at the end of that game, where like the Islanders are looking at that game and they're like, "Oh, what the fuck? You could do that and still win." Bullshit. Anyway, Dimitri Filipovic, you are a fucking legend. We appreciate you coming on, and we urge everyone to check out the PDO cast.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, buddy.
Awesome. Thank you, fellas.
All right, I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'm going to be on his show tomorrow.
Are you?
Now I am.
Oh, nice.
I don't think he heard it. We were hanging up on him as he was saying it. I'm going to start doing that, though, with guests. Be like, see you tomorrow at lunch.
Andrew Peak week to week just came out.
Yeah, Andrew Week.
Oh,
call
Andrew
him.
week to week. Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Should we pay some bills?
Yes. If you watch the stream or if you follow Pete or I on Twitter, formerly known as X, you know that we are hammering prize picks. We've been doing it for a while, but we've really ramped it up for the playoffs because we have grown obsessed with 10Xing.
Mm-hmm.
We did it on Sunday. It was the best. Which game did we do it for? Oh, we did it for the crazy ass Jets and Avalanche game.
Yeah.
10X. Here's what you do. You pick 4 categories,
Mm-hmm.
more or less. More goals allowed in the first period. More. Mostly we do more.
We mostly do more, unless it's Georgiev saves.
Georgiev saves, we go under. We did do under on Georgiev saves, right?
Yes.
And we 10X.
Do you? Does it bother you that it's less, not fewer sometimes?
It should be fewer because you can count it.
Mm-hmm.
And famously, this is all about the numbers.
That's
It's
right.
not you against sharks. It's you against numbers. Prize Picks is the best. We were talking the other day about just the website. It's my favorite.
It's so
of
easy.
It's the website. What a good website.
I say this in the most endearing way possible. This website is built for idiots. It is truly built for idiots. And as an idiot, I thank Prize Picks so much.
Yeah. man, the 10x cops have really been at it. And
I
they got
5x last night.
you 5x.
I came so close. I was one Connor McDavid shot away from 10xing. That didn't. I matched the number.
You
It was
pushed on
3
one
shots,
of the categories,
and so I ended up only 5xing. Doesn't feel as good as 10xing, but 5xing still makes me feel good.
But how nice is that? Because you're doing more or less. He pushed, and Prize Pick said, "You know what? Let's give you a 5x. Let's dole that out for you. Where else can you 10x and 5x in the same day? It's crazy. It makes these games a lot more interesting. And it's not just hockey, obviously. It's basketball, it's baseball, anything that you want. LeBron, although I'd say get those LeBron ones in while you can. There aren't going to be too many more opportunities.
Lakers stinky?
Lakers went down 2-0 last night. They had a chance to tie the series and blew it at the end. Incredible sporting day yesterday.
I hate the Denver Nuggets, man.
Why?
They're so annoying. Their
What
fans
is
are
your
their fans are some
What's
of the
this
worst.
guy's problem?
Well, they beef with the Phoenix Suns a lot, and obviously I lived in Phoenix. Denver fans, and I love the Colorado Avalanche.
God,
Nuggets
there's
fans are the
nothing that
worst.
sounds less interesting to me than a Denver Nuggets Phoenix Suns beef.
What are you talking about? They have some of the best players in basketball.
Yeah, but
No, the
care.
Nuggets are fun.
Nuggets are fun,
The
but I'm
Suns
saying
have
like
been
the
fun.
the beef between those two teams, fan bases.
It's
meh.
not Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's like the most electric hater in
He's like the
sports.
king of beef, yeah.
Kevin Durant is
And,
all-time
I
hater.
mean, you had
Book.
Devin Booker, who's dating Kardashians or Jenners, I guess. There's stuff going on in Phoenix.
Go to prizepicks.com/whatchaos and use code whatchaos for a first deposit match up to $100. I'll be honest, that's what I did. When I went and said, hey, how much you want to deposit? We'll match it up to 100. I said, oh, okay, make it 100. I had 200. Then I started 10xing, and now I got more than that.
I got more than that too.
prizepicks.com/whatchaos and use code whatchaos. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
And if you don't want to DFS these sports and you want to go to the games instead, I would say you can do both. But if you're trying to get in the building, Game Time has you covered because Game Time is our favorite ticketing app and website service provider. They're the best because they're very transparent. You go on the Game Time app, you see their all-in pricing, you see what seats are available, how many are available, what row they're in, you know, the stuff that none of these other places do for you. And they have their all-in ticket pricing, no hidden fees. You know what you're getting at checkout. They have deals on tickets right up to the start of games, even an hour after it starts. I don't know what kind of behavior that is to in playoff hockey. You probably want to be in there for opening puck drop. But with zone deals, you pick the section, and Game Time picks the seats for an average of 18% savings. And the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. That's money back in your pocket. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHAOS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHAOS, CHAOS, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.
I got another, which is cheaper on Game Time.
Oh, do it.
Game 5, Bruins Toronto.
Yeah.
In Boston, obviously, or Lionel Messi against the New England Revolution.
I got an alert on my phone yesterday for last night's Bruins game from Game Time. Tickets down 20% for Game 2. So I'm going to guess that Messi's game is more expensive than Game 5.
I'm telling you, people are saving their money for NBA Finals. I'm saying Messi's more expensive.
The Boston Bruins Game 5, $239. Messi at the New England Revolution, $272.
Damn.
So Bruins, you can get into the door cheaper.
That all sounds about
Ooh.
right. Rev's struggling this season, but if you get it going against Inter Miami didn't get going until like August last year after they returned from Champions Cup.
I don't think, like, respectfully, in this situation,
They're not going for
I don't
the
think it has anything to do with the Revs. I think it could be 11 me's out there playing Inter Miami, and they're still going to see Messi.
That was like a sneaky kind of flaunting of one of Game Time's features. Sometimes they just send you notifications
alerts.
that's like, yo, these tickets are probably way cheaper than you expect.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
I do too.
So
I love it, and I also like it. And it's time for my favorite part of the show, the reminder for the like spike.
It's like spike time. 3, 2, 1. Hit that thumbs up button right below the video player if you haven't already. Let's get those likes numbers up. And if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do that. We're going to have content coming for you throughout the playoffs on top of these regular episodes. So even if you listen on Spotify, you listen on Apple Music, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, especially because we haven't had any overtime games yet. But anytime there is an overtime game throughout the playoffs, we are going to go live for the entirety of that overtime on the YouTube channel. So please subscribe. You'll get the notification. You can join us. You can see how either miserable we are or how excited we are to watch that overtime hockey. There was a few opportunities last night where we thought we may have been headed to OT, and we were all kind of upset about the possibility of it happening. I think it's going to be kind of funny if we hop on for overtime streams and we're like, we don't want to be here. This is terrible.
That's what it was going to be.
Yeah.
And yes, the reason we ask so frequently to subscribe to the YouTube is because it's very important to us. And also because we know the numbers. We see the numbers. There's more people listening than are YouTubing. So just make sure you subscribe to YouTube. And if there's any confusion over like subscribe, that sounds expensive. When you are on YouTube and you go to What Chaos, you just click subscribe, and it means that our stuff is put in front of you.
Yeah, what could it cost? $10?
Costs $0, and it goes a long way for the show, for the algorithm, all these things, and it helps us go and travel the world and do all these fun things for all of you, the listener. So hope you have pressed liked. Thank you very much. Let's do.
Oh, we have a big update.
Yeah, it's a bingo update.
Oh yeah, it is. I got bingo.
Pete got bingo.
I got bingo.
Oh. Pete, you did not light up your bingo card as was requested.
I did not, but it's right down the middle here. Like right here. I got bingo.
Underwhelming presentation.
It was not the best presentation. We got a ISO cam. Maybe to all right.
Tell them what you got.
Okay. We have for bingo. I hit 90, which was a Corey Perry goal? No. Who was Ryan O'Reilly? Ryan O'Reilly scored. We have the number 20, which was Sebastian Aho and a few other people.
No, just Aho, actually. He was saying it took forever to get a 20. Yeah.
Oh, damn. I thought it was
last night.
Somebody else. Austin Matthews finally got on the board. Fucking fraud. Took him 2 games. Zach Hyman scored from the asshole. Okay, so this is really... I had 2 down the middle last night. And the bottom 3, which was Matthews, Hyman asshole goal, and hat trick. And we predicted exactly what was going to happen.
We predicted it Sunday night.
It was the most predictable thing in the world. Austin Matthews scored a goal, and then Zach Hyman had a hat trick, including an asshole goal. So for Zach Hyman to be a Zach Hyman hat trick to give us our first bingo of the playoffs seemed like it was scripted.
How did we not bet that? What fucking idiots? Or at least DFS it.
I know. Well, our options are a little limited for DFSing.
Yeah.
So
that's what I should say that about Prize Picks. It sounds like it would go counter to directing people to Prize Picks. What I like about Prize Picks is rarely does it feel easy. It feels like you're playing a game.
And it forces you to like pay attention and root for things that you probably wouldn't if there was a massive board.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that. Like we were in on Darnell Nurse hits last night. He did it. We were in a Pat Maroon hits. He did it. Like that shit's fun to kind of go off the beaten path a bit.
I will say I did not have Pete getting bingo first on my bingo card because hundreds of people are playing this. And
I know, it's kind of
Pete
wild.
was the first
person
one
to go.
That one of us got it is nuts. But Pete got it first. Let's look at Sean and my bingo cards because I do want to figure out how we can raise the stakes for Sean and I. What happens to the person who gets bingo last between us? You can decide, but I think the options are baseball game,
Savage
Dance. I think those are the 2 options.
I think Savage Dance is funnier.
Savage Dance?
Yeah.
So Sean.
Plus, it's not a punishment for Sean.
Yes, it is.
I was gonna.
No. I'm saying to go to the baseball game.
Oh,
yeah,
I was gonna say we're gonna share that Savage Dance to the high fucking heavens.
I don't get embarrassed. That
You won't get embarrassed?
I mean, like
No,
it'll be funny.
Yeah.
like
It's
people will
lack
laugh
for
at me. Yeah,
for not to sound like a youth, but Sean would eat the Savage Dance.
Yeah, Sean,
I've never done it before. I would have to learn it. Like,
There's just zero chance that you wouldn't eat the Savage Dance.
I think you would bring the Savage Dance back. That would suck.
I just have a hard time believing.
If we were responsible for the Savage dance coming
It's like
back,
that's
And
like
we fucking lost Sean because he becomes an influencer.
that's like the Jurassic Park. Like, should have left those dinosaurs dead. I still have a hard time believing because generally when I've watched these games, I haven't been like listening to them intently. I have a hard time believing that there hasn't been any Hartford Whalers reference during a Hurricanes game because that's the only thing keeping me from a bingo is a reference to a team's former identity.
I haven't heard one at all.
Yeah,
I've
what
been
do I
paying
need?
Pretty close
Sean?
attention.
You're closest. You have a couple where you're 2 away. You would need a road team wins first 4, which
So that
can't happen this round.
Yeah.
A Hyman goal disallowed.
Wait, no, yeah, again, Vegas.
Oh,
Shoot,
Vegas.
Yeah.
Vegas could sweep
Oh,
Dallas.
and I swear to God, I meant to bring this up
Oh wait,
yesterday.
no, wait. They don't have to sweep. It's just
The only series where I really thought that would happen is this series.
that seems like a very plausible.
Dallas can go get 2 in Vegas.
Yeah, I mean now that Vegas has won the first game, I thought that Vegas winning the first game for reasons that you've all talked about before was probably the least like the hardest thing. But now that Vegas has won that first game, I definitely think.
Okay, let's spend what?
I was gonna say people have asked too if like this is the end of the bingo game. This is not the end of the bingo game. We're gonna play out maybe first round. We'll play out the remainder of these cards, but I think when we start a round, we can like redo bingo cards.
I mean, the Stanley Cup final at least needs its own.
No,
thing.
I mean, I
agree
think
it should
like
be every
second round, we're
Yeah,
gonna
I
be ready
agree
to
with what
go,
you're
and
saying.
that way too, like knowing that we have round specific cards, we can do more like team specific things.
Yeah, and those will be
player
so
specific.
easy to cover up. All you need to do is just get like black pieces of paper and cover up the spots.
Well, what I want to do is I want to like program a website to spit out what Chaos branded bingo cards for both us and the listeners.
we can't
and
do
viewers.
those. I tried. It just costs money.
That's fine.
Subscribe to the YouTube.
Super chat if you want us to make custom bingo cards.
And if not to us, Steve Dangle.
Yes.
Couple of things. I'm only saying that the Whalers were mentioned in the first game, so if that's true, if anyone would confirm that, I
Need
would appreciate
receipts.
that. And then someone did pull the goalie with 3+ minutes. Didn't that happen with the Hurricanes yesterday?
I know that they pulled the goalie like pretty early.
We'll
I
have
know
to
it's
check.
happened somewhere.
Does-
I'm almost positive it's happened somewhere. I think
The
it happened with
Aho
Hurricanes.
goal, I think, came with
No, Aho goal came in the 58th minute.
yeah. So it was like like was it a minute and a half?
It was 17.
but they had the
50
goalie
something.
pulled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
that wouldn't be. They would have needed
Yeah.
to have had the goalie pulled for like at least a minute and a half at that point. I have Brothers Embrace who embraced. Somebody in the chat says somebody embraced.
I have no idea.
No idea. Need receipts for these things.
Yes. So congratulations to Pete. 230 was the goalie being pulled. So
Okay.
no go.
I
All
think it might have been in a different series. I'm fairly positive it's happened somewhere. Avalanche, the Avs did it. I think. Yeah.
The Avs? Like that game was pretty close the whole time.
Yeah, but they were losing. Like, were they not down 2 goals late in that game?
don't recall.
Somebody check. I believe that. Okay. Anyway, so that's the bingo update. We like that everybody's very invested in it. Please keep tweeting at us what was and what was not on your bingo cards. And as always, if somebody who is not playing bingo tweets about their bingo card, ask them to reveal their bingo card.
Hell yeah.
Bingo card reveal when. We talked Stars and Knights for a second. Let's just finish that thought. The Knights take game 1, 4-3. They're the only road team to win the first game this postseason. Mark Stone, as we discussed with Dimitri, scores on his first shift. Hurdle scores. Hannafin has 2 assists. So that all worked out. Biggest thing I want to discuss with this series is the Knights won game 1 with a massive fuck up by the coach. I know that Aiden Hill struggled down the stretch and was hurt down the stretch. Logan Thompson right now, and I think usually, is fucking terrible. He allowed 2 goals off the rush. Goalies need to make the fucking first save. He can't do it. He was bad last night, and the Knights still won. So they should feel great. The Stars should be hanging their heads. And in game 2, Bruce Cassidy, please go back to Aiden Hill.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any question that Aiden Hill is going to be in net in game 2. The Mason Marchment goal in that third period was, I think, the nail in the coffin for Logan Thompson. You just can't fucking let that in. That was an inexcusable goal. Yeah, I mean, you obviously. I feel like it's unfair though, like to say, that was a coaching mistake. And you tweeted the opposite. You were like, it's not hindsight. This was a mistake to play Logan Thompson. I think if you give him game one, see what he's got, that's fine. But I wouldn't have predicted that he had that bad of a game last night.
I would have pulled him after Dallas's second goal.
The Marchment goal?
No, the one where he got beat cleanly off the rush. The Marchment one, I think you can kind of excuse.
No
if he hadn't
way.
already been beaten cleanly off the rush, I would say, well, you know what? It was a changeup. He was expecting it at a different speed. Still fucking terrible goal to allowed, and he got a piece of it. So it was very bad in its own right. But you can write it off as bad moment for him, needed a save there kind of thing. But this was the second goal that they were just fucking skating in the zone, threw it on net, and he let it in. Every fucking goalie in the NHL makes the first save there, and twice he didn't.
Yeah, and I mean, there was talk immediately after the Marchment goal last night that, like, you should pull, they were saying on the broadcast, they were like, did they pull him now? Like,
if they went to overtime, I was thinking about it.
Did they lose faith in Thompson after allowing that goal? So I don't think there's any question. You expect to see Aiden Hill in game two. It is like a tough pill for the Stars to swallow to lose that game, given how bad Vegas' goaltending was.
Quick update on goalies. They have been pulled with 3+ minutes left. Georgiev was. Good job, Sean. So anybody who has that, I don't know if I have it on my bingo card, but
Aviva did. She said she got bingo.
Who did?
Aviva.
Oh, hell yeah. Congratulations, Aviva. Did she
had it first?
Did she get it before Pete?
We knew that Pete had it first. This is a big thing with bingo, is if you miss your number,
that's right. You got to say it first.
That was going to be my thing with, even if the Whalers have been mentioned, I haven't registered that on my card, so Pete's still beating me even if that happened.
That's right.
If you don't make your pick, someone else can go up and fucking make it. Rob Gronkowski.
For the record, the Avs were down 7-4 in that game. So they pulled the goalie very early. They had 3.5 minutes of empty net time in that game.
Wow. Man, I like blacked that out.
How do you feel about your Stars?
I feel a lot worse today than I did yesterday. And it's not because they lost game one. It's because they unveiled the worst playoff theme that I have ever seen in my life. The Stars, for some godforsaken reason, decided to make AI like the theme of their playoff run this year. And they're calling it the playoffs. But instead of a Y, it's the playoffs. It's horrible behavior, especially considering they're not wearing the black, like, funky cyber jerseys that they have, which I don't like. But if you're going to do this shit and lean into the AI and futuristic vibe of the Dallas Stars, at least wear the funky jerseys.
Douche Chills Hall of Fame.
Awful. One of the worst marketing decisions that I've ever seen made by a professional sports franchise. And I wouldn't be surprised if this just disappeared by game 2 or 3. If they just pretended that this never happened, and because everybody in the world hates this, including Dallas Stars fans.
The decision to go with the AI thing is bad enough. The thing, if you're watching on YouTube on the right, as I described yesterday, is very Glasgow Wonka-esque. That's like the textbook definition of just like sometimes less is more. Like doing something that looks shitty is worse than doing nothing at all. They should just have left that shit alone.
It looks so bad. And I think that this is a case where having a theme for the playoffs or your presentation or whatever, it should be good for people who are at the game. You don't want it to be something that everybody knows about at all times, because if they do, it's probably because they're making fun of it.
Yes.
And it was too loud and it was too bad. And that's what that was. Absolutely gross. Speaking of absolutely gross, is this what we expected from the New York Islanders making the playoffs? Because they hold a 3-0 lead halfway through that game. It looks like they are going to even the series with the Hurricanes. They blow it 3-2 late. And as I said, in the 58th minute, something like that, Hurricanes score 2 goals in 9 seconds. Shout out Sebastian Aho. Absolutely locked in. We told you. We reported it first, and the Islanders go home with nothing.
Yeah, I think the Islanders are dead. This is just can't happen. This doesn't happen to good teams this time of year.
Doesn't happen to teams ever.
I mean, you can excuse every once in a while a team kind of falling apart. But teams do not park the bus and get absolutely fucking caved in for 40 minutes while they hold a 3-0 lead and choke it away. I need to look at the numbers, but I wrote it down. Hurricanes, in the final 40 minutes of that game, the Hurricanes led attempts 82-11 and 110-28 overall. For the New York Islanders to get absolutely fucking ragdolled and blow a 3-0 lead, like that's just the difference between teams that belong there and teams that do not belong there. And the New York Islanders do not belong in the playoffs.
Well, the getting heavily out attempted thing is fine. That's what you're supposed to do when you have a huge lead. You need to get more than 11 shot attempts. You need to actually have the puck at least for 5 minutes and go the other way. Islanders didn't do that. They were 81-0 in their franchise history when leading by 3 in playoff games. 81-0. And obviously the one time that you blow it is going to be embarrassing. That's the most embarrassing way I can think of, though. 2 goals in 9 seconds. Classic Boston Bruins. We're going to game 7. What happened? Where'd this go? And they allowed an empty netter for good measure, by the way. So they ended up losing 4-2.
It does get us one step closer to Patrick Waugh blowing an absolute gasket.
I'm telling you, they're not fucking interesting, man.
I was shocked. Like I said it, I tweeted it as soon as they let in that. I guess it was the second goal in 13 seconds. Like someone checking Patrick Waugh. They didn't like pan to him or anything. I thought they were gonna like go straight to Waugh and he was just gonna be like full blown smoke out of the ears type of deal.
I don't think Patrick Waugh knows ball anymore.
I mean, he got
I don't think
them
any
to
of
the
the
playoffs.
Islanders know ball.
No,
Got
I
them
don't
to the
care about
playoffs.
fucking getting into the playoffs. I mean, like, knowing ball for Patrick Waugh means being Patrick Waugh.
So now
Well,
we
be a
don't
fucking
care
crazy
just
guy.
get into the playoffs.
Yeah, he has not had that. And maybe it's a case of him maturing and being out of the league for so long and being like, I got to really be careful and rein it in. But, I mean, when Patrick Waugh got hired, everybody was excited for the possibility of him being Patrick Waugh, the psychopath. Need some of that back.
That guy doesn't yell. Very disappointing.
Very disappointing.
Most boring team in the playoffs right now, and yeah, I'm fine with them going away. One of my friends, for some reason, did a future on did a series bet on the Islanders. I told him you shouldn't have done that. They're not going to win that series. He was thrilled yesterday, hammering Islanders mascot gifts at me. I don't know what the fuck their mascot is. It's really fucking weird.
It's a
dragon, right?
Yeah, it's a dragon.
Yeah.
You go,
It was
wear a wagon.
repurposed. It was repurposed from another. This is the most like minor
Canadians.
league shit.
No, Montreal does that too.
Yeah, but that was the Expos one,
Yeah, they
right?
took Youppi.
Yeah,
Oh.
but that's
Which they
like,
should've.
but that's like that's an awesome mascot, a real, and like it's a tribute to a team that doesn't exist anymore. So
That's
I kind of dig that. The
Well, Islanders
the
are about to
Islanders
not
like
exist
the
anymore.
Islanders kind of like repurposed another mascot to save money, I believe.
I mean, that's just the
Awful
broke
behavior.
boy shit I've ever heard.
Yeah,
That is,
exactly.
it's giving broke boy.
I will say Howler needs to remain active with some Arizona sports team. Like he should just hang out with the D-backs. or
I was
the
going to say
Suns or something.
Diamondbacks. I like that for.
Diamondbacks currently have a bobcat as their mascot.
What?
Yeah, Baxter.
Could actually, you know what? It doesn't make sense because famously the other team is called the Cardinals. But I don't know. Diamondbacks are a different animal too. Have Howler go there. And I think Kyler Murray will like him. Kyler Murray is a hockey guy.
Yes.
I feel like bobcats and birds would be natural predators. You can't invite a bobcat into the bird's nest.
Birds just
I
fly
miss
away.
when you were mopey earlier in the show.
I do have to like the Canes. Canes got that swagger. Jake Gensel on the
Yes.
empty net.
Awesome.
Little bitchy.
Yes.
Bitchy.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. And then just fucking giving it right back.
Yeah.
I love the scoring a goal and then pushing or cross-checking somebody.
Well,
I saw
Shout
that-
out Max
so-
Pacioretty.
I'm not going to say it, but I saw somebody say online that Jake Gensel was serving the C word with that
I
goal.
feel like you
I-
can kind of say it now.
I feel like
I
the
can say
chat
it?
can make some puns with his name using that word. That's you for sure.
So I really like that from Jake Gensel. The Canes have some swagger to them. No swagger from the New York Islanders.
Also,
Absolutely swaggerless.
I want to say, like, Jake Gensel, in that situation, like, he didn't do anything. It wasn't like he was being a dick.
100% agree.
But it wasn't even like there's situations where you can be like He got slashed.
He
for
got
no
slashed,
fucking reason.
turned around and
And
yelled
just
in the guy's
smiled at him.
face.
Yeah, he just laughed
I
at him.
loved
Yeah, it
every
was
bit
No,
of
but
that.
he did. Who was the PWHL? No, it was the college hockey player that scored and then was like, "Yeah, what do you fucking want?"
Well,
he
no,
gave one of those
because he got slashed
he got
immediately
slashed.
as he
Yeah,
scored,
yeah,
and then he
okay.
turned around. He was like, "Go fuck yourself. I'm going to laugh at you. We just embarrassed you."
I loved it.
It was
I'm from
awesome.
Nebraska,
Yeah,
where the vampires hang out.
that
Yeah.
was the saddest part.
He
of,
got slashed and turned around and said, "That's corny,"
Yeah,
Well,
it's awesome.
because I'm from Nebraska.
I don't even know if Carolina, New York is the most lopsided series, even though it's 2-0 right now because of what happened in Edmonton last night. Oilers 7-4. That was not even that close. Darnell Nurse and Cody Ceci just gave them goals at the end. It really should have been like 10-2, something like that. Connor McDavid, 5 assists. Zach Hyman, hat trick, 4 points. Evan Bouchard, 4 assists. Draisaitl, Adam Henrique, multi-point games. Just an absolute shit kicking. Does this make you feel any sort like I said yesterday on the show, right? I know I said it before the show. I was totally confident in that game.
Yeah.
last night. I thought the Oilers were going to fucking destroy the Kings, and they actually did, and I felt kind of weird.
Yeah, credit to you. I mean, you look like a fucking genius. You were so confident that they were
Didn't
going to
get
smoke
bingo,
them.
though.
I definitely didn't think it was going to go that way.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
props.
I don't think that this is a preview of the entire series though, because like the Oilers are going to have piss on the floor. We saw like even in that game they pissed on the floor. It's just they built up enough goodwill that it didn't really matter. They're going to piss on the floor, and I do think the Kings are going to adjust a little bit. And so this will be a better series than we saw in game 1. But if you're an Oilers fan, you have to feel really fucking good that they came out and got a game 1 in as dominant fashion as they did.
How do you feel if you are a Kings fan right now? Because the Oilers power play was Oilers power playing, got fucking Leon Draisaitl scoring from the fucking goal line like he always does. Zach Hyman just going to the net, doing what he does. Connor McDavid doing whatever the fuck he wants. There were so many scoring chances. Dimitri was talking about the million scoring chances in the first period. I was texting with our fellow oil man, Tyler, and I was like, I hate to fucking do this. After the first period, I was like, the only bad thing about this is that they're not up like 9-0. They're only up 2-0. But there was still never a concern that like, oh shit, they're going to let them back in the game because they skated circles around them.
Mm-hmm.
It was fucking dominant.
I think there's a good chance that the Oilers can win this series in like 5 games, but I expect the remainder of the games to be a little tighter than this. And I really want to see the Oilers win like a 2-1 game.
Well, we haven't seen a game yet in which the Kings scored the first goal or scored the first 2 goals because 1-3-1 teams, man, they're give us the lead and we'll take it all away from you kind of team. And there was not one fucking second where they could do that last night. And they had to kind of play a little faster and looser. And if you try to play the Oilers game against them, they will fucking murder you. Stu Skinner was good in this game. The numbers ended up being fucking skewed because Darnell Nurse kicked a puck into the net. And did you see Cody Ceci's stick explode?
Yeah.
That was like just
poor guy.
like, what the fuck? Also, shout out my Oilers hype video. I didn't get any feedback from you guys on, I don't know if you didn't watch the whole thing, but I had Hugo Ceci in it.
I did see that. Yeah.
And I put in Daniel Plainview yelling at HW about his interpreter. Is that what it would be? The guy that signs for him? Would that be
His interpreter? Yeah.
his interpreter?
Yeah. Sign language interpreter.
When he tells him to stop, he says, like, if you have something to say to me, say it yourself. Stop flapping your hands for your little dog to speak. Woof, 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 woof. So when Hugo was running, I had woof, 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 woof.
That's amazing. Good for you.
Hugo's the best.
My one reaction, instant reaction to the Kings game yesterday, not only do the Kings need to wear the white chevron with the chrome helmets at all times, those should be their home jerseys. Like they need to wear white at home.
I do like the idea of certain teams having home whites, like, but
Yeah.
I don't want it to be a league wide.
I agree.
People
I
always
agree.
say like league, bring it back league wide. No, like
Sabres
certain
should wear
teams should
blue.
have that be part of their personality, part of their branding. It goes back to the Dallas Stars. Like the Dallas Stars AI thing is just I'm stuck on it now. You should have seen how much I was stuck on it last night. I could not focus for like 45 minutes because I kept thinking about how fucking awful that decision was. And it's just part of a bigger issue with Dallas, and I think it's the final nail in the coffin. The Stars branding is fucking horrendous. It's so bad. It is inexcusable. That team has zero identity. It's an identity crisis. I fucking hate that team's branding, and I hate that they don't know how to present themselves because it's so easy. Sean says it all the time. You are a team from Texas. Just lean into that. Like, have cowboys, have fucking horses, play the goddamn, I know that they play like friends in low places and shit like that. Lean into that being your entire identity. Dallas has no fucking presence in this league.
And it sucks because you look at their roster.
They're
got
cool.
young. They've got old. They have the best Asian player in hockey. Like, they have so many fucking amazing
Their goalie's
things.
nickname is like the coolest animal
The otter
of all time.
They've got a fucking otter in net.
There is no bigger disconnect between a team's on-ice product and like how cool it is versus their off-ice branding and it being the fucking lamest shit in the world. I said this during the stream on Saturday. I have been looking for cool Dallas Stars gear to back the team that I want to win the Stanley Cup this year, if it's not the Bruins. And I can't find a single fucking cool piece of Dallas Stars merch because their branding sucks.
So I know you're an anti-phoback, but Texas in and of itself, like its identity is very like Old West.
Mm-hmm.
If the Dallas Stars leaned into that Old West and it had like a faux-back feel, would you be on board?
Yes, because that's not
what I was saying last night.
That's not them pretending to have like
Heritage.
history and heritage to their team. It's them leaning into the heritage of the place in which they play.
Yeah, the only thing I will say about that is like thinking about it more is that Texas, like I've mentioned this before. I was born in Texas. Texas is very divided. Like obviously at large, people are proud to be from Texas, but like once you get into Texas, like Dallas and Houston, those are two different things. Like they don't
Austin.
Austin,
yes. Like
so like
people group Texas into one thing, one stereotype, and that is not all of Texas.
It's like upstate New York. It's only relevant when you're talking about it from an outsider perspective. Once you get into Texas, like people don't. It's not Texas. It's Dallas. It's Houston. It's San Antonio. Whatever. So they have to be careful about how Texas they make it and abandoning their Dallas thing.
Mm-hmm.
But come on, I could do it easily.
Yeah,
like
I put us in charge of rebranding the Dallas Stars.
I said to you guys last night on the group text, like I want a bunch of like horses and cowboys and all that shit, but I also know that more realistically, it's like presidential assassinations is more like the Dallas thing. But just like imagine going into that arena and it's smelling like horse shit and like
it's not the place I would go with it.
Ma'am,
how do horses do on ice? Because if they could have somebody like ride out on a horse in like its center ice to start the game,
ask Leon Draisaitl.
If Red Panda can ride a unicycle and fucking balance bowls and all that shit, you could put ice skates on a horse.
I don't know if a horse like slips and hurts itself, that's curtains for the horse. So they got to be careful.
Sports love killing horses.
That's what. Well, yeah, fair enough.
It would not be unprecedented.
Shout out me not making a glue guy joke.
Every team needs a glue guy.
Yeah,
could be
even
your
if it's your mascot.
Yeah. So no good. Oilers though look very good so far.
One more thing.
Yeah.
I am very anti the Stars abandoning their colors or their name. Like they need to figure that out. I don't want a complete rebrand.
No,
I want it to be the green Dallas Stars.
Correct.
Just in a better way.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yes.
Yes, you do.
I want to. We did a little behavior watch for the Dallas Stars and their AI theme. We have to do some behavior watch with PK Subban because I'll tell you what, I've had enough. I'm ready to say it. I wanted to be kind to PK Subban. I like being kind to people in the media who are trying to figure their shit out. PK Subban has had enough time to figure his shit out. He sucks. He's so bad. And his behavior is approaching unbearably annoying. And we got a couple of examples of it specifically on social media last night. You want to set this one up because you took issue with this one.
Yeah, so I was going to do this for the Bruins and Leafs stuff, but Max Domi played on the first line, has been playing on the first line for the fucking Leafs so far this postseason. and Max Domi, by the way, had as good a game as Austin Matthews. Everybody's like hammering what a game for Austin Matthews. Fucking Max Domi was fucking incredible last night. He made the play on that Austin Matthews breakaway goal. Anyway, PK Subban pulls up a tweet from October saying like, "Oh,
His
they
own
should do
tweet.
more."
Important,
and
important.
being like, "Oh, did I fucking call it or did I call it?" No, you didn't, you fucking weirdo. That's so strange.
He is so obsessed with himself and makes everything about himself. And not only did he bring up a tweet, this is part of the weird behavior. Not only did he bring up a tweet from October, he screenshotted a quote tweet of him quoting his own tweet.
God knows when.
Screenshotted it and then tweeted the screenshot of him quoting his own tweet and then commented on that. So it's like 3 layers of PK Subban just being obsessed with himself. And that's not the only weird victory lap and mistimed victory lap that he took yesterday, because like after the first period of Golden Knights Stars, when the Golden Knights had a lead, he said, "How my Golden Knights looking now?" with like the thinking emoji, and tweeted his fucking bracket in which he picked the Golden Knights to win the Stanley Cup. It's the first period of game 1 of the first round.
They're up 1-0 and their goalie sucks.
I would have been so funny if he was just like all in on the Islanders yesterday, and he was like, "Someone want to tell me how my Islanders are doing?" And then it just completely fell apart.
It's PK Subban, and listen, ESPN's coverage is not what I want it to be, and a lot of people on that broadcast.
You want it to be good.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people on that broadcast, I think there's room for improvement, but I can deal with, okay, this isn't as good as I want, but I draw the line at being fucking actively annoying, and PK Subban is actively annoying. PK seems like he's doing TV for PK and for like Instagram clips that he can tweet out. And I don't know if you've seen this on his social media.
They're not good clips.
He posts clips that are taken like on a phone while he's doing TV. That shit is being recorded. You can tweet like the clips. You don't have to have like a social media person recording you from the set.
That I kind of like.
That shit is so weird.
That's
he
a little
tweets out those
relatable.
videos, cuts out all of his co-stars, and like, so it's not about the conversation that they're having. It's PK pushing his like little 20-second clips so that he can get some Instagram traction. Everything that he does is about himself. He makes it about himself, and he takes weird victory laps, and he always has to have the last word, even though he doesn't have anything interesting to say.
In his defense, I think he's uncomfortable on that show.
I absolutely agree.
That was what I was going to say. I think PK is a cool dude, and he has a place in hockey media. It's just
agree.
not the place that ESPN is giving him. And I think ESPN has kind of fucked PK over because they have put him in a position where he feels like he needs to be this big-time star, and they keep telling him that he is, and he is simply not ready for that yet.
Strong agree.
I absolutely agree.
He should
with
be
that.
the 3rd or 4th person on a panel.
But
Yeah,
at
and on
some
a
point,
good
at some
panel.
point, you have to settle into the role that you're given and the people that you work around.
yeah, I mean, that
He
just,
hasn't done that.
yeah, I just don't think he's built for that. Like, it's just not. He's there to be cool and be fun. And when the only other guy that you have on the panel is Mark Messier, like, you need to be more than just that. They need more people, really. They need a TNT style broadcast. But if you're just gonna throw Messier and
It's just a very
PK
lazy
out there,
panel.
it's just weird.
It's very lazy.
But like, look at their NFL Live group. Look at their women's college basketball group. It's just like people who have a vibe with each other,
Yeah.
and they all do their roles so fucking well. I was watching NFL Live after the ESPN's hockey coverage last night, and I was like, God, this is so fucking good. And then I was like, God, this is so fucking good relative to what I was just watching. Like Laura Rutledge, awesome host. Fucking Mina Kimes, like, could be an NFL GM. Yet they're all fucking feeding off each other and and making fun of Dan Orlovsky and calling people fucking weird and just being the way that they would be. I don't think PK Subban and Mark Messier and Steve Levy are going out for burgers and hanging out and making fun of what each other eat.
Yeah, I think that Brandon in the chat said that the whole panel stinks, and that's like, yeah. The problem is that PK is the loud one. Like, he is the one that is tweeting a bunch. He's the one that is. He's PK Subban, so like he's always going to be the one that gets shit on more. Because
Yes, you do not want to be the dynamic one in the boring group.
Because Mark
Yeah,
Messier just
that's
gets to sit
fair.
there and talk about hockey, and like, who the fuck is going to question Mark Messier about his hockey knowledge? Like, he's not there to be interesting. He's there to know hockey. PK is there to be interesting. It's just not really.
But
working.
but even the way that PK is going about trying to be interesting is more about PK than it is about the show.
Yeah, but I wonder at least how much of that is because ESPN is telling him to do that. Like, ESPN is making it like they want PK to be a star.
Sure, but you
and
can,
I'd kill you guys.
but like, so, and I don't want to make like the Biz comparison, but like Biz is well researched and he is entertaining, and like you can tell that he puts a lot of effort into being that guy. It's not just him showing up to set and being like, all right, I'm going to be the fucking clown today.
But he has Liam McHugh and like 30 other good NHL
he still
players.
is informed. Like PK.
Yeah, that's
PK
the biggest problem with
has
PK.
exposed himself regularly being misinformed and not doing his research and not caring enough to be a real analyst.
I think part of it, though, is just like a fuck it, this kind of stinks. And also, I don't know how much he believes in the show that he's doing.
Yeah,
even.
and I also think it's very easy when people internally are hyping you up, telling you to do what you're doing, to just be like, what, like, to phone it in. If people are telling you that what the work that you're doing, which is not good, is acceptable, then you have very little motivation to get better at your job.
You know,
it's not an excuse, because I think someone like Biz would do it whether or not he is told that he needs to. But
I absolutely think that there are definitely levels and layers to why ESPN's product is so far behind, but the PK thing, like, I'm starting to run out of patience.
You know what I saw yesterday on Twitter, and I fucking agreed with it? Who's ESPN's best hockey person?
Emily Kaplan?
Nope.
I don't know.
Pat McAfee.
Well,
Pat McAfee
I
is
think
their best fucking is
he's
their
the
most
most
important.
He talks about hockey and furthers hockey conversation more than anybody. And I'm not
It's not
necessarily
their best hockey person. Their most important hockey person.
I don't dislike Pat McAfee or like I don't dislike Pat McAfee or like Pat McAfee, but that is the only show, and I watch a lot of ESPN, that talks about hockey organically.
And like
Woof.
seriously. And
Yeah.
like in like a we really care and this is cool and we're gonna talk about it. And not like we have to talk
No,
about it.
I'm not a
we have
program
rights.
director. I think that Emily Kaplan is misused. I think that Emily Kaplan can be like their Adam Schefter of hockey, and I think that they could have an Adam Schefter of hockey, and for some fucking reason they choose not to have one, which is crazy to me.
I mean, I think that ultimately it comes down to ESPN not really like caring or being good
Seems
at this
like
shit.
they're mailing it in.
Yeah, like it just seems like early on they really tried to be TNT, and then they kind of realized that it's not going to work, and they're just like, okay.
I disagree. Early on, they were like, "We're just going to be NBC. We're going to
that's
repackage
a
what
good
NBC was
point.
doing." And then they saw TNT start having success, and they were like, "Maybe we should try to inject some fun into it."
Which, God, I'm gonna get myself in trouble here because I'm an NBC employee. But like, if there was one fucking model that you don't copy when you're launching a hockey thing and you're trying to be more exciting, it's what NBC was doing. No, am I crazy?
No, you're absolutely correct.
That was inoffensive to the point of being offensive.
But at least NBC was entertaining in its panel, right? Like you had Milbury, you had Roenick. Like neither one of them I took super seriously, but you would watch that and be like, they might say some crazy shit and I'll at least tune in.
Oh yeah.
Like they weren't fucking boring. They weren't like watching paint dry.
Also, there's just something
they watched the games. They cared. They were not like the best most brilliant hockey minds, but you could tell that they watched and were invested in the sport.
I
don't get that sense from ESPN at all.
NBC has kind of like this kind of magic to it where it's just like you almost don't want them to be interesting. Like you want them to be the Olympics. You want them to make the event feel magical and feel like it's this big deal. And you got Doc Emmerich screaming about shit. Like you want it to be like I go to NBC because it's going to be well put together.
Yes, that is it. So that's NBC's MO. They're about presentation.
Yes.
We are dressed nice.
Legacy stuff.
Look nice. We're sitting up straight.
And there's a place for that.
Are giving you this presentation, and a lot of people like it, but that also becomes, for people of a certain age or a certain attention span, I will get up in intermission.
Yeah, that's
kind of thing. And ESPN, yeah. I've liked this conversation, but I also don't want to poo-poo friends.
I know
but
that's the hardest part.
No,
it's we're
better.
speaking from the heart, and I think speaking to people, a lot of people feel this way.
A little bit of hockey news.
Yeah.
Georgiev's in the starters net for the Avs, so they're running it back. And Eustace Annunen, he is not on the ice. Ivan Prosvetov, Coyotes
still
legend,
sick.
So this is
on the other
this
net.
is like a nightmare scenario for Colorado. It's Annunen, like absolutely Annunen.
Annunen?
That name just continuously
Eustace
fucks
Annunen?
me up.
Yeah.
Him being sick right now is the most ill-timed sickness,
And-
literally.
Ivan Prosvetov.
so he's the opposite of healthy.
Yes.
Antonym.
Antonym.
I'm so much smarter than you guys
No,
sometimes. It's
that,
crazy.
well, I didn't realize what you're
100%.
going to, but I understand it now.
Yeah.
My brain doesn't work.
Ivan Prosvetov, not
Leave me
a
alone.
good
I'm watching
goalie.
hockey.
Yeah.
Ivan Prosvetov couldn't make it on the Arizona Coyotes. Like they traded him because he was worse than Karel Vizmelka, who is not a good hockey goalie.
Well, I
So
mean,
they're in a bad way.
The Avalanche are starting Alexander Georgiev, so we know they're not doing
that's a
great
good
in
point.
goal.
That's a very good point. Like they would
You don't have to bring more evidence to the table that
They
the Colorado
would
Avalanche
kill
are in trouble in net.
to have Connor Ingram right now. If they had Connor Ingram, they
Why
win
the
the Stanley
fuck
Cup.
didn't they trade for anybody?
Yeah, it's
Like
crazy.
Jake
Well,
Allen
because-
at the trade deadline.
Why would you trade? Why would you
Allen?
trade for a goalie? Exactly. When you have an all-star, you have an all-star at hand leading the league in wins, which is the only stat that matters for goalies. Why bother? You got your guy.
They literally said, like, right after the All-Star game, when Georgiev was named an All-Star, they were like, we need help. Not to say, like, we want to, like, take the net away from Georgiev. They just kept
They needed a
saying,
backup at
we're
least.
giving him the net way too much.
Yeah.
We need a backup that we can rely on. So the fact they never ended up following up on that is kind of crazy. And now it's going to bite them in the ass and maybe they ruin their season.
Well, speaking of goaltending, the Leafs did draw even with the Bruins last night, getting what was the final score there? Was it 3-1?
3-1. No.
I watched a lot
last
of
night
hockey.
in Bruins.
What's that?
Last night in the Bruins game.
3-2.
3-2. Yeah, because we thought we were going to.
Yeah, it was
overtime for a
2-2.
second.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. 3-2, the final score. As we said, Austin Matthews and Max Domi, just monster games. Matthews with the game winner in the third period off of just an incredible pass. Just a lot of good passes last night in that game. Max Domi, Pavel Zacha. Pavel Zacha had a legitimate Leon Draisaitl play, and I gasped. I couldn't believe it. But then Max Domi was like, check this out.
In fairness, Pavel Zacha's incredible pass doesn't happen if anybody on the Leafs is playing defense in the final 10 seconds of the period.
Yeah, you got to know your opponent.
That's very true. And not to take anything away from the pass. The pass is great, but holy fuck, their defensive alignment on that sequence, inexcusable. The Austin Matthews, absolute monster game, not only offensively, in the dot, ruined our Charlie Coyle DFS, and he was winning basically every puck battle. Austin Matthews, good two-way player.
Yes, for sure.
A lot of people who don't pay super close attention being like, offensive merchant. No, he hasn't been that guy in a long time.
No, he can do both things.
Yes.
He can score and he can cry on the bench when he doesn't score.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's an incredible player. The two big things, third period for the Bruins. Wouldn't you fucking know it? They blow in the third period. That's always what they do. That has been their thing all season long. It's why they went to overtime more than any other team in the league.
It reminds me of the Oilers.
Their
game
second period was worse than their third period.
Their final two periods were bad, but they blew it in the third
The
period.
Oilers game we went to, the Bruins were up 3-1, weren't they?
Yes.
We were like, they're losing this game. And then they lost the game in overtime.
That's what ends up happening.
It was the final five. They
Ford F-150 final five.
Ford F-150
They
final
fucking
five.
get run over. That's what happens. But Linus Ullmark in this game gets the nod over Jeremy Swayman. We discussed it yesterday. Sean and I were pro go Ullmark. Pete was leaning Swayman. And I can tell you right now, I haven't heard a second of it. I'm sure the conversation on the airwaves in Boston nonstop is, should they have gone with Swayman? I think it would be unreasonable to have expected Jeremy Swayman to play better than Linus Ullmark last night. The biggest play in the game was the Austin Matthews breakaway goal. Is Jeremy Swayman stopping an Austin Matthews breakaway in that moment? I don't think it's fair to say, yeah. No. Austin Matthews scoring that goal on either goalie, so it doesn't matter who they started. In fact, I feel like vindicated and correct.
I do
too. Ullmark was really good.
I thought he
night.
was really good. Yeah, and I was leaning Swayman, but I don't think there was a wrong decision there when they announced Ullmark. I wasn't like, oh, what are you doing? It was just, I thought that he played really well. That second goal, I maybe could have used to save on, but overall, I really don't think you have any regrets about putting him in net.
I think the only reason I think it was the right decision is now because you have the option to go to either guy now.
Well, I think you're
realistically,
going
to
Swayman.
Swayman, you don't really have the option. But like if the same thing had happened to Swayman yesterday, then you kind of have to go to Ullmark.
I think at this point you're committing to rotating every game unless somebody fucking stands on his head.
I think in my mind, if I'm Monty, you switch every game unless someone gets a shutout. Like a shutout's the only way to earn the net the next day or next game.
But I think that the performances in game 1 and 2, goaltending wise, were very similar.
Ullmark wasn't the
very low on the list of concerns. If you're a
Andrew
Bruins fan
Peak
right
died
now.
in the second period, and they had to play a lot of the game with only 5 defensemen, and they sucked defensively, and they didn't score. So that's why the Bruins lost that game. You go back to Swayman in game 3, but now as it shifts back to Toronto, looks like the Leafs are going to get William Nylander back. Bruins could theoretically be getting 15th overall pick in 2010. Kings defenseman, what's his name?
Forbert.
Derek Forbert back. Ugh, who really cares? But at least you'll have 6 defensemen.
Yeah, I mean, they recalled Lorai. I don't know if he ends up cracking the lineup, but like, I just think that you need more from like everybody. Honestly, they looked gassed. They
not
looked
McAvoy's best night either.
No,
Marchand bad.
They look like Marchand needs to start finishing.
Yeah,
I'll say that. They need some goals from Brad Marchand. He had a couple good opportunities in game 2, didn't convert. They overall though, they didn't skate. Like they looked really slow. They looked really weak on pucks. I think that you can out effort and just like out skate the Leafs and beat them most of the time. The fact that the Bruins looked that bad and only lost by 1 goal, and
you can out effort them. You can't out skate them. I think the Leafs.
Yeah, sure. Okay, sure. You can out effort them with more effort. I think the Bruins have a much better chance of winning that game. But the fact that they played as poorly as they did for 40 minutes and still had an opportunity to win that game and only lost by 1 goal, somewhat of an encouraging sign.
Yeah, the Bruins were up 2-1 at the end of the first period, and I was like, that's fucking demoralizing for the Leafs because the Leafs were way better than them last night. But whatever, 1-1. If I'm the Bruins fan, I still feel pretty confident, but I probably think the way that you do, which is it's probably going to go 7 games no matter what.
Yep.
Okay, very, very important. Mike Francesa gave his playoff preview yesterday, and it is fucking incredible. Here is Mike Francesa breaking down the postseason.
Now, it's funny. I didn't do anything on hockey because I hadn't really watched any hockey yet. I did play golf last week with a couple of my hockey guys that I rely on. And I'll just give you a couple of things they gave me before game 1. This is fair what they gave me before game 1. They told me the Rangers would have no trouble with Washington. They said Washington shouldn't even be in the playoffs. We know yesterday we saw that Washington statistically was the worst team to come into the playoffs since 1991. And in what was I thought, rather ho-hum game, and the Rangers went on to a rather comfortable win. This will be an easy series. They loved the Hurricanes. They thought that the Islanders had very little chance against the Hurricanes, and they thought the Hurricanes had a great chance to beat the Rangers. They also liked the Florida Panthers a lot. And in the West, they liked Edmonton a lot. They liked Edmonton a lot, yes. Now,
do you know how badly I wish we were Mike Francesa's friends who were informing his hockey breakdowns that he would bring to the...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, I was talking to my guys. Here's what I haven't been watching a lot of it, but I have been told that the Oilers are just scoring tons of goals from this new place they call the Asshole. King's got this black kid just like listing off all, like not knowing anybody's names.
The amount of panic that Francesa would set into all of his listenership by saying the black kid and then not knowing what was coming next would be horrifying. But I agree. We should invite Mike Francesa on the show so that he can ask us questions about hockey so that then he can play telephone and say them on his show.
What would we tell him? Like,
all I'll say is that it's not amazing behavior to like outsource your opinions for your own show, but like I appreciate that he's not pretending to know, and the things that he did recite, all pretty correct. Didn't have any problem with the information that was provided by his source.
He's friends with smart people. Couldn't
Friends
be
know
us.
puck.
Yeah, his friends absolutely know puck. I'm trying to think though of what would be trying to get him to wrap his like. Does he know who Artemi Panarin is?
Yes, because he's a New York guy.
But that's the thing. Like that's why I chose Artemi Panarin.
He knows Artemi Panarin through Larry David.
Maybe
That's who he was golfing
he
with.
sounded like somebody who knows perilously little.
Trying to explain the concept of Zach Hyman would be incredible for Mike Francesa.
Yeah,
He just stands there, and Connor McDavid just throws some things at the. I don't know why I'm doing like an old timey voice. And he just stays there, and Connor McDavid just throws him the puck in the asshole, and he scores 50 goals.
So the chat is saying it would be great because he'd be like, they really like this Jewish kid in Edmonton.
That's ultimately what it would just turn into. It would be us telling Mike Francesa about Zach
just
Hyman
like
for
talking like
45
an old
minutes.
person.
There's a Russian goalie in Colorado who fucking sucks.
Just be like the Russian fella.
Well, he might know Georgiev because former Ranger.
And All-Star. He was like, they have this
And
goalie.
all-
They
I
have
don't-
this
I don't think
goalie.
Mike Francesa was watching the NHL All-Star
No,
game
they have
this
this
year.
goalie in Colorado. Quick look at
Ooh.
his stats. He
We could tell him about
leading
Tate
the league in
McRae.
wins.
Oh, he doesn't know about Tate McRae.
He does not know about Tate McRae and would
But-
never understand.
I continue to get feedback on that we did not follow up with Bayo about the Tate McRae reaction and laugh. Do we think that he's on a group text with Tate McRae, or do you think that he was laughing because he had probably had the exact same experience that we did with Tate McRae?
I think that he may have been laughing at the concept of Tate McRae.
Yeah, that was kind of the vibe I got.
You thought that he was like laughing about Tate McRae existing?
I
don't think so.
I don't know.
Non-zero
I don't want to
opportunity.
put any like words
Yeah,
in his
right.
mouth, but
And he doesn't seem like a mean-spirited guy.
Yeah,
Right. So, and I'll tell you this, I'm a bigger Vampire Weekend fan than you two are.
for sure.
You guys haven't seen them live yet, but you for sure will. Do you know what a big part of Chris Bayo's performance is?
12-minute Cape Cod.
They did a 30-minute, they did an 8-minute Cape Cod, a 30-minute Cape Cod. He dances.
Mm.
And he's like a very good like
Bayo's
playing
a great
bass,
dancer?
like he does like a lot of like
Oh, hell
that.
Gets
He
into it.
like you want to be on his side of the
yeah.
stage.
Wasn't familiar with your game, King.
Oh my god, I'll show you some clips. He's fucking fantastic. Whenever anybody takes like a video from a Vampire Weekend concert, it always just ends up drifting over to like, what is this fucking guy doing? So maybe
So-
he and Tate came up together.
Yeah, so they're cut from the same
No,
cloth.
that's why he was laughing. He was just like, you guys know Tate McRae is this big star. She was just my choreographer back in the day.
Oh my god, fucking! I could see Vampire Weekend bring out Tate McRae. They
Tate
brought
McRae-
out Paris Hilton and
that's
Abraham
true.
Lincoln.
That's a good point. Tate McRae being like a Chris Bayo disciple, very funny.
Dude, a fucking 45-minute greedy. That would
my
be
God.
amazing. Tate would die. Tate dances the whole fucking time.
Famously, Tate McRae's music and like her fan base's attention span is like about 85 and a half seconds.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I mean, isn't Greedy like
Like,
29 seconds long?
Yeah, it only exists on TikTok. It's not a real song.
Greedy is a iTunes preview clip. The whole fucking you're like, why is this clip so short? That's the entire,
That's the entire song.
Well,
Great replayability because you don't know that it's over.
we talked about all the games, right? We did enough. We ended up going crazy out of order, but we've had a very good show and we've talked about all the games. A big conversation for us on the old group text. Sean getting in on it even, so that's how you know it's good. Sorry, that was a
No, I mean, I don't. I
Sean's
am
been
not
making
a good
his own
texter.
texting jokes, so I think it's okay.
I don't take things personally. like
Okay.
that. I don't give a shit.
You're like, you guys, we're not friends. This is a
it's
job.
it's not that we're not friends. I don't text anybody. Like I'm not a texter. I get, especially because if I'm not on my phone in an instant, like as a conversation is happening, conversations go so fast, and I'm just like, I'm too far behind. I can't talk. I can't start talking about the thing that they were talking about 30 minutes ago.
Here's a question, Sean. Are we friends?
Yeah,
I think we're friends.
I would agree.
Like I think I think we're best friends.
We've gone to hockey games together outside of like
But
traveling
if
for work.
If we were in Phoenix, like if we moved to Phoenix, would we be as good of friends? Because you have like your network in Arizona.
Yeah,
And is it just a product of you being kind of like a newbie here in Boston?
Well, I have other friends here in Boston that I went to like college with.
It's like I have friends that are more important than you guys.
No,
here. Don't Don't hype yourself up.
It depends, because like if I was doing this job still,
Careful,
sure.
Sean.
If you guys just like happen to also work at PHNX, I think I would still be friends. Like I was friends with everybody at PHNX. Like we would still be the hockey people. But like it's
Sean
weird because like
DePopular.
a lot of
that is a wild kind of like, yeah, I'd be friends with you guys. I was friends with everybody.
Well, I mean, like, I wasn't. I didn't mean that like everyone was friends with me. I was
Wouldn't
just like
pick you guys out of a crowd, but
I was
I'm
friendly with
friends with
everybody
everybody.
at PHNX. It just depends though, because so much of our like hanging out outside of the work has been related to us working together. So
That's true.
Like, would we have gone to hockey games still? I don't know, because I'd probably be at those hockey games because I produce the Coyotes podcast. But I like you guys as people, so we would still be friends in that context for sure.
I don't like
know
the
if I
for
believe
sure
him.
at the end.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe
say
him.
for sure at the end of a lot of. I'll for sure call you. I'll for sure do. That's not. I meant like. Anyway. I still want to go to a basketball game with you. I want to go to a Celtics game with you, Sean.
You guys
Yeah, I
might
would
have to go to some baseball games.
We're
Separate.
definitely going to go to baseball games.
Yeah, so like that, like knowing that you guys go to baseball games over the summer, like we totally would have been friends, because that's what I did. That's like the only thing I did over the
The
summer.
real
in Arizona.
test will be the summer, because we're not doing the show in the summer. I know that
We're doing the dating show.
Yeah, we're gonna have content during the summer, but like we won't be doing the hockey show every day during the summer. So
Well,
where does our friendship go?
That's the ultimate. If we do the dating show, like if I end up with a girlfriend, fuck you
Oh.
guys. Like, I'm busy.
I mean, I still want the Sean DePaz show.
It's scripted reality, though.
Yeah.
And if you were on the chat or if you were on the stream, you already know what we're thinking for season 1 storylines and cliffhangers going into season 2.
Mhm.
But
Can we get Tate McRae on the show?
On the dating show?
Yeah.
Is that you saying you want to date Tate McRae?
Dave McRae,
I don't know Tate McRae well enough to say. I'm not going to date somebody just because they're beautiful.
Ooh.
But
I honestly, I was always that guy too. Where someone like when people were like, "Oh, would you blend with this person? Would you blah, blah, blah?" I'd be like,
I don't know. What's your personality?
"Real talk, I don't know how we get along."
there is a limit to that. Like if Kim Kardashian hit my phone right now and was like, "Come out to LA," I'd be like, "All right, when's the flight?" Like I don't, because there's more than just her being beautiful.
Hell
like,
yeah, brother.
And also,
I'm
she'd
also-
be like, "What's the flight? Do I have to do everything?"
Yes, you've got. You.
In
I
this
don't. I can't
hypothetical,
afford.
Kim
Sean getting-
Kardashian is just unreasonably horny.
Sean getting flown out by Kim Kardashian would be incredible.
I mean, it would be, but my point was more that like, I will be like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like I will be vain, not vain, but like I will
You
just
can be
date her for
swayed
her-
by
Shallow.
yes, shallow, yeah, exactly. I will
You
be
can be
shallow if the
swayed
price is high
by
enough.
external forces.
Yeah, I don't know that I'll marry
If-
Kim Kardashian, but
mean,
like I could date her for a while. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I mean she's like a billionaire. So
Yeah.
that'd
Also,
be
like
dope.
maybe Kim Kardashian's cool. Like I don't know. Like maybe
I think
maybe
Kim
I would like. her.
Kardashian's probably cooler than. a lot.
I think that way all the time. A common discussion on brunch back in the day was I never got the how did this guy end up with her? How did blah, blah, blah? And it's like it's always because they get along.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially when you're Kim Kardashian. It's not like Kim Kardashian is just dating celebrities because they're celebrities. She didn't do that.
Not to bring it back to hockey, but we never talked about this. Like 2 or 3 weeks ago, Kim Kardashian posted on one of her socials a bunch of Nashville Predators gear.
Really?
Oh, yeah, I
Yes.
do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, she just posted a bunch of Preds shit.
They
And it
probably
was
just sent
like,
it to her.
the fuck?
How do we feel about the Sabrina Carpenter Skims campaign and what it means for her relationship with Taylor Swift?
I don't.
I think it's time to end the show.
When did Sabrina Carpenter happen? Like
I don't know when Sabrina Carpenter happened.
But I
I
don't
found
even-
out about her like a year or so ago, which means that I was probably way late.
I found out about her like a month and a half ago. I don't know. I couldn't tell you what she does, and obviously it's not my realm. But
I found out about her in the funniest way possible, which is it was just a supercut on Twitter of her saying horny things at her own concerts. And I was like, don't know who this person is, but they seem very horny.
Looks like I got to buy some concert tickets.
So now she's dating Barry Keoghan, which he's also had a very horny past 12 months.
I don't like that.
I need to go to a Paramore.
What do you
concert.
mean you don't like that?
I just don't like it. It's not good behavior.
From who?
Shout out Haley Williams.
Both of them. They're not married.
Oh, yeah, that's true. This is a podcast about the Lord.
Not liking any couples because they're not married. That's
This
my
is a
move.
big anti-premarital sex pod.
Mhm.
Yeah, gross. Okay. We got lots coming tomorrow. This was a very good episode.
Sure was.
Very fun. Very informative. Thank you.
Shout out
and a
to
half.
Dimitri Filipovic. Thank you for coming on, King.
Thank you to the Buffalo Sabres
Did
for
we-
hiring Lindy Ruff.
Did we do a slate grade?
Oh, shit. Good call.
Look at me. Let's do a slate grade presented by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHAOS for $20 off your first purchase. There are 4 games this evening. 7 p.m. U.S. Capitals at Rangers, Game 2. The Rangers lead 1-0. 7:30 p.m. U.S. Lightning at Panthers, Game 2. Panthers lead 1-0. 9:30 p.m. U.S. Avalanche at Jets, Game 2. The Jets took a wild Game 1. 10 p.m. U.S. Predators at Canucks. The Canucks lead the series 1-0. These are the easier nights, okay? I'll tell you, last night, incredible slate. This is a little more Sunday-ish, but with the structure of last evening. This for me is a very easy A-. I am looking forward to most, I would say, the Lightning at Panthers and the Avalanche at Jets.
Okay.
But really, I'm looking forward to the last 3 games. Capitals at Rangers. The Capitals didn't do enough for me in Game 1 to grab my attention, but we'll be watching it all. I give it an A-.
Yeah, I agree with all of that wholeheartedly. I'd like to see the Capitals find a spark.
Find a spark.
Well, I don't think that's happening until they're in Washington.
Got
I
a
don't think
bit-
it's happening on Michigan.
By the way, got a bit of feedback. So after we put out that video, I tweeted like, hey, this was a Pete project. He fucking killed this. Give it up for him. And somebody said, I could tell that it wasn't you who made this because the spark joke was made very tastefully and the correct amount of times. And I said, buddy, that was my only contribution to this whole fucking thing. So thank you, asshole. Double fingers, suck it.
That was you did bring the spark into the mix, and that was probably
Only
the one
contribution.
thing that will like survive from that for like a long time. Like that's the one like thing that comes out of that gets contributed to like the show.
How does that make you feel? You fucking slaved over that for 300 hours.
No, it makes me feel great. It's a collaboration.
And I will say, give yourself a little credit. Like, you leaned into it. Like, you leaned into
Oh,
the
yeah.
spark
Yeah,
thing.
like
So
you
made
heard
a
it, you
thing.
picked up. Yeah.
I saw a lot of people saying like our friend Brett Merriman was like tweeted at the Sabres was like would love a spark.
Yeah, like what's this I hear about sparks?
People asking for like,
That
well,
was-
you guys got any of them sparks?
I appreciated that one. They
Yeah.
fired Don Granato. Too late. No
Anytime
spark.
you want your team to be doing better, just ask them for a spark.
It's funny.
Spark reveal when.
Lindy Ruff
Yes.
fired in February 2013. No spark.
Spark.
Okay, tomorrow we got lots for you. You
Capitals
don't want to
couldn't
miss
find
it.
a spark if they sat on a power line. Fuck, that's mean.
Power line sitting reveal when at Capitals.
Tune in tomorrow for a spark.
Oh, hey, actually, last thing I should say. Starting tomorrow, a Daniel Plainview voice competitor podcast is going to do live shows Wednesday at noon. This is a competitor. It's a podcast with whom we have a great relationship, but they are now going to go live the same time as us.
They're standing
So,
on our corner.
we're not going to suggest and lie about having certain guests on Wednesdays, but if Whatnuts happened to misunderstand who is on the show on Wednesday and tweet about, say, Barack Obama being on, and we accidentally retweet it, there's nothing we can do.
Listen,
so if a buzz is to be started about having Lindy Ruff and Barack Obama on tomorrow, nothing we can do. We're not.
All 3 of us have access to the Twitter account. Who's to say who's the one retweeting it? Like it just might get out of hand.
Or it could be anybody.
It could be anybody.
So if you want to get creative with, hey, the Wednesday live episodes are the best. This is, or maybe you take some of our like political beliefs or things we've stood for. We're a very pro-gay hockey podcast to say like, I'm going to listen to the one that says this.
Can we start the
Then
show
I'd
at
suggest
11?
that if you listen to the other one, you'd like you have horrible
Problematic.
morals. Yeah.
Can we start the show at 11:59?
Oh, famously, we're not an
only-
on-time podcast. but-
That'd be great. The only podcast that goes on. Actually, that should be a joke that we do. we go live at 11:59 on Wednesdays. We'll do it. All right, we'll talk to you tomorrow at 11:59. Good idea, Sean. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.